Hello everyone, I'm Sam from ALUULA, and today we're going to be walking through the Aeris X and Aeris leading edge or strut repair. So the first thing you're going to need to do is go into your product bag and find your ALUULA Aeris repair kit. This is separate from the canopy at-home repair. This is going to be heat welded onto your leading edge. The structural portions of the Aeris and Aeris X line cannot be fixed at home using PSA tape material. You need to either sew at a repair center or do this at-home repair kit. In your ALUULA repair kit, you're going to find a multitude of things, and we're going to go through what all of them mean and how to use them. So the first thing you're going to find is a QR code that takes you to the user manual for this at-home repair, so you can follow along with this while we're going through the video to help you out as well. What you'll also find is two pieces of base material. So this is our Aeris X material that you're going to find on your leading edge or strut, and then you can color match this to whatever base material you're going to find. If you do have this material on your Aeris product, if you have a tear on this material, regular Aeris, use the Aeris patch, and if you have a tear on your Aeris X, use the Aeris X patch. What you're also going to find along with those two smaller patches is your release liner, and this can be reused for multiple patches itself, and a piece of separating foam. These are all cut to size, so there is no need to do anything in terms of using scissors to round edges and cut at home. Everything that comes in the bag is ready to be used as is. So for this repair at home, you are going to need an X-Acto knife or a really sharp knife similar to an X-Acto knife. I would not recommend using scissors. And then also a digital iron, so an iron that you can actually tell the temperature with, because this is a very temperature dependent process. So we do not recommend using just a regular clothing iron or a non-digital iron from home. You do need a digital iron. I cannot stress that enough. You might ruin your product if you do not. So let's zoom in here and get this repair done. So we're zoomed in on the tear on our leading edge, and I just want to take a little moment to say that I'm using this piece of silicone on top of the wing to separate the iron in the wing. And if you're unable to use a piece of cardboard while working with the wing at home, I would just keep the iron off to the side, not on the surface of the wing itself, just in case something gets knocked over. We want to make sure that nothing goes wrong during this at-home repair and you can be sailing in no time. This at-home repair is only recommended for tear sizes less than 2 inches or 5 centimeters. If your tear is larger than that, we do recommend you go to a repair center and get that fixed properly. I know it does sound a little counterintuitive, but through this process, we are going to be putting the foam underneath the airframe, and then we are going to be patching on top. So to get the foam underneath, the tear has to be at least 2 inches in width to be able to fold up and put this foam under the airframe. So we have a tear here that's probably a little under an inch. So we are going to carefully use an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to show you how I do it here in a couple seconds to open it up to be able to throw the foam underneath the airframe. The first thing I'm going to do is separate, like this, the airframe from the bladder. So we want to make sure that the bladder is still kind of on the bottom part of the leading edge, and now we just have material here, and we have our tear. So what we're going to do is propagate that tear to 2 inches, and now that's big enough to conduct the repair at home. Please make sure that you're using a fresh X-Acto blade or something very sharp so that it's really easy and smooth to cut and you don't end up going past the 2-inch mark. Now that we have our tear to the right size to be able to conduct this repair, we are going to get the bladder and push it all the way to the other end of the airframe near this gold strip here. And what that's going to do is eliminate any of the risk of welding the bladder together, and it's going to give us a really clean area to work with. in the airframe itself. And if you feel more comfortable with removing the bladder, you can also remove the bladder when doing this repair, but for the sake of this video, we are going to keep the bladder in the wing. The next thing we're going to do, now that the bladder is up against the edge of the leading edge, is insert our foam into the tear and have it lying flat in between the two pieces of leading edge. So what I like to do is fold it up into 4, put it in on one end, and now you just have to work with it. It'll unfold underneath by itself, and you just have to center it over the tear itself. So as you can see, the foam is laying flat in between the two pieces of leading edge, and we always want to throw the long side perpendicular to the tear because we want the most amount of material to be fighting the tear wanting to open up again. So this is going to be the layout of our patch. And we want to make sure that the two edges of the patch are not curled up underneath each other. And we want to make sure that they are flat and they come to one continuous piece here. And we're going to patch over that. Now that we have the foam in between the two pieces of leading edge and we have our outline for our patch, we're going to grab our base material of Aeris X along with our liner material, and we are going to lay them like so. So what we want is the Aeris X patch to be centered over the crack itself, and then we are going to put liner on top. And what this is going to do is allow the iron to be taken off of the leading edge, and then we are going to peel this off and the Aeris X will stick to the leading edge itself. Please make sure to use this liner or else you can run into issues with the ALUULA material. Without the liner, the iron has the possibility of sticking to some parts of the airframe itself. So that's why we include this piece of liner, and it can be used for multiple repairs. So now that we have all of our patches lined up, we want to make sure that our iron's at 130 degrees Celsius, and you want the iron to sit for about 5 minutes after reaching temperature, and that will just make sure that it's at the right temperature that it's reading. You also want to do a little sanity check here and make sure that the foam and the release liner are bigger than the iron itself. If you get a digital iron from home and it's very big and much larger than the foam and the release liner itself, you also run into the same issues of the iron sticking to the material itself. So you always want to make sure that the release liner as well as the foam is larger than the iron. So now that our iron is at 130 degrees Celsius, we are going to get a timer to help us with this repair. And I'm going to start the timer, and I'm going to put the iron over the patch at 10 seconds, and I'm going to go till 25 seconds, so 15 seconds total of the iron being on the material itself. And so notice I'm not applying any pressure onto the patch itself. All I'm doing is letting the weight of the iron press down on the material, and we've timed this out for you so that everyone can get consistent results at home. If you want to be extra careful, you can get the edge of the iron here and go around the edges of the patch itself just to, double tack everything down and just make sure that you have a great welded patch onto your leading edge. You want to be really gentle. You don't want to be putting a lot of force into the iron. I'm just using the weight of the iron itself to lightly go over the patch. And once you're done and it's cooled off a bit, we're going to just remove the release liner. And now you have a no-sew welded leading edge repair from home. So this was the ALUULA Aeris and Aeris X leading edge and strut repair. Now you can get back on the water and enjoy using your product.